Welcome to my tutorial for the final day in Deathloop. This is going to cover how I killed all the Visionaries in the final day. If you're familiar with this game, you know that you have to... The only way to beat the game is to kill all the Visionaries in a single in-game day. So you basically have 4 cycles, 4 areas that you can travel to before the day loops. Time does not pass while you're actually, in the areas. Time doesn't pass at all, but you have to choose what time of day you want to enter each area at. And, every time you do that, an escape an area or complete an area, the day will move to the next time of day. So there's like 4 times a day, basically. So that's how that works. But you don't have to worry about time wasting. You have as much time as you need once you enter an area. But as soon as you exit the area, it will go to the next time of day. And then you'll have to choose your area at that time of day, whatever the next time of day is. So for this, we're starting off in the morning time of day. This is the first time of day, morning. And this is going to be to take out Wenji and sabotage Frank's fireworks. Those are the 2 things you're going to do here. And this is at the complex in the morning. So that's going to be the first step. Now, you're not going to be able to do all this shit unless you've done probably about 25 hours of preparation in my case, because I didn't use a guide until the last few hours of the game. I just wanted to play it and have some fun with it, figure it out myself. But then I got annoyed. I didn't want to put everything together for the single day and figure out where everybody was going to be at and go through all the notes and do all that shit. That's really not my type of thing. So I ended up using a guide for the end parts to set everything up. But my tip for that is, if you want to just enjoy the game and have fun with it, the main thing that you want to do in this game is, once you unlock the residuum to be able to permanently keep your weapons and abilities and things like that, once you've done that, then you just want to play the game and start completing all the leads. Start tracking the arsenal leads and the visionary leads. And it'll show you, it'll be markers on your map where to go to complete all those. So I recommend going through all of those that come up and completing them. And you're going to find new ones as you read notes and stuff. Always read notes in the environments, and you'll come across new ones. You want to track all those and complete them, which is going to take many in-game day cycles to do all that shit. And some of the leads, actually, you can't complete them in one in-game day. It takes multiple loops to get through them. So keep that in mind. And you're going to want to do that first. And then once you've exhausted all that, and if you don't feel like figuring out the final stretch of how to set everybody up to be in the right places at the right time, then I recommend searching on Google. Just do a search on how to kill all Visionaries in a single day. And that will bring you to some pretty good guides. There's one on IGN, and in that guide, it shows you all the little nuances. It'll show you the order of places you have to travel, as I'm showing in this tutorial, and the times of day. But more importantly, it'll show you how to set everything up so that everything's ready to go on that final day, because everything has to be set up a certain way. So once you go in there and search it, you'll see, there's a mission, say Afternoon Delight. Click on that, and that'll tell you how to set all that up so that when you do get here, you'll have everything set up. Now, the one thing, the guide is missing a crucial piece of information, which fucked me over at the end. I couldn't escape and beat the game. You do need these rack codes, RACC, I believe, rack codes. You need them to beat the game and do the final escape after killing all the Visionaries. It's not enough just to kill all Visionaries. Even if you set that up, you're going to need the rack code, and you're going to need to go to the rack room to initiate the final sequence and actually beat the game. So I got fucked over on that. I also had my battery backup fucking broke, and I had some game crashes on this final mission. So this took me about 5 or 6 attempts to finally get through. I had a lot of interruptions, basically. It didn't take 5 or 6 full attempts, but I did have a lot of interruptions. So I was able to finally get a proper run and beat the game. But like I said, do all the leads first, and then everything will be set up. Now, for this, with sabotaging the fireworks, you have to jam the rain flaps. That's the only way that you can sabotage Frank's fireworks, and that's going to cause Frank to explode in the last mission, where you don't even have to kill him yourself. Now, you may be able to manually kill him in the mission yourself if you can find him. I didn't bother doing that. I recommend just doing this. It's easy. If you did all the leads, you'll have all that shit set up. So with that all said, my loadout for this mission is honestly not important for the tutorial, because by the time you get to this point, you're looking at, 20 to 25 hours of preparation. It took me 25 hours and 40-something minutes to beat the game. But most of that time was spent doing the preparation stuff and just exploring the game. So by the time you get to this final day, you're probably going to have a loadout that you're comfortable with for your playstyle. But I will go into more detail, especially for the final mission, which it was very important for the final mission, my loadout. For these parts, it's not really that important. I do recommend having a silenced weapon. It just makes it easier to pull some bullshit. But by this point, you can pretty much fight everyone head on and kill them. You should be geared up for that at this stage in the game. But this machine gun is actually a good silenced machine gun. It's probably the best silenced weapon I found. But I don't have the name of it here, but the nail gun is great too. I use that for most of the game, and you can get those easily throughout the environment. You should have found the nail gun. Even in this area, there's a nail gun on the bottom floor. But what I do here is I just use Nexus and I go aggressive. So I'm using the Nexus ability to chain everyone together, and then when I shoot one of them, it shoots all the enemies that are chained together. It kills them all. So I use that a lot for aggressive playing. I've also set in my loadout, I set up the Parasite ability for Nexus, which you should have all the upgrades for the slabs by this point, just by killing shit in the environments. You get them a lot of times dropped off of even regular enemies sometimes, so you should have collected them all by now. The other way to upgrade your slabs is, of course, to kill the same Visionary multiple times. You'll pick up multiple upgrades for the same slab once you've gotten the initial slab off the Visionary. So you can do that too, but I didn't really need to do that. I got most of the stuff just by playing normally and killing shit. Especially killing Juliana when she invaded. Now, I set Juliana's invasions to be CPU controlled, not by actual real players. So I just throw a grenade in that room. You see I chucked a grenade in that room and killed the Visionary? That's all I do to kill Wenji. She's always in that room. I chuck a grenade in there and maybe fire a few shots, use Nexus, and the grenade doesn't do it, then Nexus will do it with the gun I'm using. Now, I edited this down. After you kill the Visionary, of course, you're going to escape the area, but I found it redundant to show that, since you've probably escaped these areas, hundreds of times by now or something like that. By playing this game, you've escaped these areas many, many times. So you should know the way out. That area can be a little tricky with the gas to get out of, but there's a pretty easy route out of there. It's not hard to find. If you lose a few lives trying to get out, it's not a big deal. You just, you'll get all your lives replenished when you get to the next area. So just don't completely die. You have 2 lives you can lose, and the third one will finish you off. So just, don't die more than twice. But it should be easy. Now, here's some of the loadout stuff that I used. This is not the selection I had for my final mission, which is the most important loadout, but I use things like speed loader. Big box gives you more ammo, so I use that on the machine gun. I found that really good. You do have to sacrifice some of the more offensive choices that do more damage to get the big box in there, but you can fit it in there since you have 3 slots on if you have a decent machine gun. I believe it's called the Pepper Mill, and the one I have does explosive headshots, which seems pretty good. But with the upgrades, it's pretty good. I still like the shotgun the best. It has a slowdown mechanic where if you shoot a guy with it, it slows down. I think I was also using the Pepper Mill that had slowdown, the slowdown feature attached to it as well. That was pretty good. It doesn't matter a huge amount, just more of a preference, what you like. But big box is good for the Pepper Mill gun, since it can eat bullets pretty fast. So having some extra ammo on that seems to be helpful. Big box gives you more ammo in your clips, basically, I think. So it can be pretty good. So now we're going to be going to the complex at noon. And the reason we're going back here again is because we need to go here at noon to sabotage this little rig here that Igor's going to try to use. Now, by doing this sabotage, it's going to make Igor go to the main party in the mansion, which is the final meeting location of all the remaining Visionaries. So you want them all to meet there so you can just kill them all conveniently in that house. And I think that's the only way to beat the game. I think you have to set things up like that. That's why you have to do all these leads and everything. It sets everything up. There's certain things that you set up in this game that are permanent. where you don't have to set them up again. Once you set them up, the game just keeps it. But a number of them you do have to set up again, like the fireworks thing where Frank shows up. You have to sabotage that again, as you saw me do in that little trailer. And this thing with Igor, you have to sabotage this again. So you are going to have to do some of these again. But it's faster the second time you do them because you already have the passwords and everything set up. Your character will remember the passwords and things like that. So certain things are faster to do for the second time. That's why you got to do them to begin with, so that you can do them quickly for the final day and just be able to put it all together without doing multiple steps. You just do one step, put in the code or whatever, and it's done. So that's why you want to have everything set up ahead of time. Now, of course, this tutorial is mainly focusing on my strategies for the final day. I do kind of go over how you'll set the game up, though, to beat it. Normally, I don't do tutorials on these longer games because it took me 25 hours to beat. But this game kind of wraps it up nicely into a single day, so I can just briefly go over how I set everything up, which is pretty general information. But you're going to want to look into it in more detail to get everything set up perfectly. The main things you need to set up are all the little sabotages with the leads. So you want to do all the leads, and then you want to make sure you have the rack code, which is radio transmission is the name of the mission, I believe. Radio transmission silent or some shit like that. You want to do that mission for sure, because then you can't escape after killing the 8 Visionaries. You can't do the final escape sequence in the shuttle, which you need to be able to do. If you don't have it set up, you will just have killed all 8 Visionaries, but nothing will happen. I found that out the hard way, so I thought I beat the game, and then I was like, shit, I forgot to do this little bullshit. So it took me a while to look it up and find what the fuck I did wrong. I didn't know what the issue was. But that's the issue. So you got to do that radio transmission mission. Now, for this area, you just run to the end where these trailers are. And I would use Aether, which is your invisibility ability, to just break in that window and grab the suitcase that I grabbed. In that is going to be a field nullifier, which we're going to use to set up this next piece of sabotage. Now, there's some enemies hanging around here. I did end up killing them all because I was going to sneak in and just do it, but they weren't cooperating. Normally, I kill them all in this area anyway when I do this, so that's what I ended up doing. And, of course, by this point, you should have easy methods to kill these guys. I really like this shotgun because it has slow motion attached to it. When you hit people, it slows them down, too. So it's quite a useful shotgun, and I have that all perked out and shit. I like the abilities that give you the same damage from far away as up close. That's one of the perks. I recommend having that on your shotgun because, what other weapons are really, like the shotgun, I don't know. I think the shotgun might be the only weapon that's really, weaker from a distance. Most weapons, I think, are like the same damage from any distance, I think. Maybe not. Maybe not in this game. But that's how most games work. I figured the shotgun is the only one where I'd want consistent damage across a longer distance, since the shotgun generally does more damage up close. But with that perk on there, it makes the shotgun very dangerous, even as a far-range weapon. So, I mean, it's not going to be a sniper rifle, but it's close. I never got any sniper rifles. I'm sure they're in the game. I just never did it. Didn't need it. So yeah, here you're going to put in the code. The code is different, I believe, for every player. It's randomized. So you do have to actually do all the leads to have all this set up. That's why I say make sure you did all the leads. You can't just look up all the codes online and input them in this game. All the codes and the doors and everything in the game is different for everyone. So you actually have to, you can't skip ahead. Now, if you're a speedrunner, I'm sure there's ways you can speed through a lot of this stuff. But certain things, I think you still have to complete certain leads and things like that to be able to get to the end and kill all the Visionaries and get the ending. So now that you've sabotaged Igor's little setup here, he's going to show up at that mansion at the end of the game. So that's why you do that. And Frank will also explode at the end of the game because you sabotage his fireworks by choosing the rain flaps option. You have to choose that option. So now the next step is going to be to kill 2 Visionaries in one area. You can either drown them or just kill them manually with guns or whatever. Either way, it doesn't really matter what you do in this next area because the area gets flooded anyway. And, I usually sacrifice a life or 2 anyway in this area. I just play sloppy. I didn't need to play this carefully, so This is just the way I did it, and it worked. So just target Fia. Just set your target to Fia. It doesn't matter. Set it to either Fia or I believe Charles is the other guy, or Charlie. So set it to one of them. Your tracker, and then when you go here, you're gonna have the tracker's gonna show you the location of either one of them. They're in the same place together, so it doesn't matter which one you track. I always just track Fia. And this is going to show you where you need to go next. So you need to go where Fia is at. And of course, you had to do a whole setup for this as well. So you're going to have all of this set up. And then you're going to be able to input these codes in this machine, which is going to set everything up. Or at least it lets you in the final bunker where you can, finish these people off. So yeah, for now, you're just going to make your way to that marker, which is going to be around the corner. There's going to be a bunker, and you'll see where I go. Now, the part with Wenji and sabotaging the fireworks, the first location when I went to the complex the first time, only took me about 13 minutes. And of course, you can do it faster than that. And then these next two areas only took 5 minutes each, but I edited it down. I don't show some of the escapes because the escape is very typical shit that you do all the time. You don't need to see that in a tutorial. You've probably done it hundreds of times on these levels, escaping back to the exit. I just felt like it wasn't necessary to show it every time. Now, I do have a full version that shows all that shit, but there's no commentary or anything. But this is the edited down version. It's about 12 minutes shorter because I edited out the escapes. So here you're going to input the codes. Again, it's going to be different for every player. So you do have to have completed all the little steps required for the leads. You have to do all the leads pretty much. The game doesn't tell you that, but you pretty much, I think, end up having to do all the leads pretty much to beat the game, it seems. Unless there's some that I missed. But it seemed like I had to do pretty much everything to beat the game. So those leads are not just optional little side bullshits like I thought initially. I mean, I figured they were important, but I thought maybe if you knew where to go, you could just kill all the Visionaries and just go wherever they are. But you have to actually set them up, and it takes multiple loops and everything to do. And it won't work unless you've done all the leads beforehand. So you're going to be spending a lot of time if you're not looking everything up step by step. You could easily spend over 20 hours like I did just doing all the leads and shit. And fucking around getting, unlocking weapons and stuff that you want. And doing all that shit. So here it doesn't really matter. I'm trying to get up on this ledge. I'm not doing it too efficiently. But eventually I do get up here. But once you alert them, they're pretty much going to drown themselves. I believe once you alert them, they set off something that drowns them. At least that's how I always did it. I don't know exactly what's occurring here, but I know they get drowned when I do this. So I pretty much don't even wait for them to get drowned. I try to just kill them outright. And I think I killed one of them, but then I fucked up and lost a life, and the other Visionary killed me, but it didn't really matter because she's going to drown anyway, so... See, once you do this, it seems to set off a big fucking problem here, and I think the whole area starts to flood. I don't know if that's the trigger, but it always works that way for me after I've prepared everything, did all the leads. So here I'm trying to kill her, but she ended up finishing me off. But I didn't really care because, like I said, I had a few lives to sacrifice, as you always do when you start a new area. So I don't even think I had to go down here to see her. She probably would have just died anyway. Because she's trapped in a room for some reason. And she just, you just see her drowning. And then, of course, I drowned with her. But, again, I was on my last life, so I was all right. And then I was able, because it warps you out to the top of this area when you die. So you can just exit naturally at that point. So don't worry about it. If you lose a few lives here, it's all right. The objective of going here was just to wipe out these two Visionaries. So you see her drowning. She's going to be dead in a moment, and so will you. But if you know how to do it, you can probably climb out of here. I never figured it out. I didn't need to figure it out since, like I said, it would just warp me to the beginning and I could just leave normally. So I wasn't worried about having this part down. So now you see I died for the second time. Now normally I would die maybe once. But I fucked up on that part with fighting the Visionaries. But now they're both dead, so it doesn't matter. As long as you've set everything up. And now I've edited it down to where I'm at the exit. It doesn't take long to get back to the exit in this area anyway. It's a short trek. If you don't know where the exits are and you need the tracker to show you where the exit is, it won't show you where the exit is always. But if it doesn't show you, then all you need to do is just put the, track an objective that's in another area. If you track an objective that's not in your current area, it'll end up showing you the exit for the area that you're in. And the reason it does that is because you're not able to do the objective in the current area. So you have to go back to the exit at that point to go to the next area. So that's one way for the exit to show up on your tracker. I was having that issue. Now, some of the areas I pretty much knew how to get back to the exit anyway, but I didn't always remember. So that helped me. So now this is the final area that you're going to travel to. I recommend using this pistol that has the gas attached to it. It's useful. I like it because it's good for like confined areas where the enemies will choke on the gas. You get that pistol off one of the Visionaries you killed. So you should have it. You should have snatched it up. But if you didn't, it's not going to be super important. Now this is the shotgun I like. The Strelak 50/50. It's one with the slowdown ability attached to it called Snare. And you get that off one of the Visionaries as well. I don't remember exactly where I got each one of these things off of, but a lot of these weapons I got off of killing the Visionaries. So always check their bodies for the weapons. And some of them you're going to want to keep. Some of them are cool. This one has explosive head detonation. The other one that's good is the slowdown one, which I got off. I don't know if I got that one off of a Visionary. I may have found it in a locked room or something. But either way, you don't have to have my exact loadout, but there's a few things that I do recommend. You want to have there's this brawler ability that you really want to have. See, Lightning Strike is good for the shotgun because it gives it the same distance from far away as up close. So it's a really good one to have. Mind Leech I always throw in there because it's supposed to do extra damage. Now with my setups, most of my setups for my main character are set up to give me more health and to give me faster power regeneration, like juiced up and things like that on my character perks. But one big one, I use Havoc for this area instead of the Invisible Aether ability because I go more aggressive and I don't really rely on being invisible too much for this. I'm just out in the open killing shit, so I'm going more aggressive for the final mission. And the other perk that you didn't see me put that's on my character, it's really important. It's this Brawler perk. It's called Brawler or some shit. Look up what it does. It gives you health back for each melee kill, so you can get your health back by stabbing people with your machete. That's super useful. I do sacrifice, maybe having a bigger power bar, but I have the fast power regen, so I don't really need the big power bar. I don't need the max, my power meter. It doesn't have to be at the maximum size. It is kind of small, but I don't really need it because with that Brawler perk, that now means that I can just kill guys to get my health back with the machete when I need health regen. I also have Parasite set up with my Nexus. You want the Parasite upgrade on your Nexus ability because what that's going to do is you can link guys together and you kill one, and when you kill one, of course, you kill all of them. But the other bonus is that it's going to regen health because Parasite reaches health off the enemies. So now I have two ways of regenerating health. I can use my machete or I can use Nexus and kill guys that way and get health back. You see now it's more of a vampire type of build where I can kind of suck health back, and it makes it extremely good for aggressive play. So I'm gonna demonstrate that, but that's basically my build with some of the other things I mentioned. And the other thing that I put on Nexus is the ability to I forgot what it's called, but it gives you a link to where it links up to even more enemies, and you'll see it in the description. It shows a little demonstration video. Make sure you have that one on there as well. I didn't actually go through the menus and show all that since it wasn't designed to be a tutorial. This was just my playthrough. So I didn't actually go through and illustrate everything that I chose. But I think with those descriptions, you can understand what I'm getting at. And it should help. But I do recommend having those. So definitely look into having that set up. If you don't have all the upgrades, you can try doing it without, or you can just get them by playing and killing shit, obviously. Killing the Visionaries, again, will definitely get you upgrades to that slab. Whatever slab they carry, you'll upgrade it every time you kill them. So here, the reason I'm clearing out some of these enemies is one, I don't have the invisibility here, so they're probably going to spot me anyway, going through this route. And secondly, I just want to clear it out because I'm going to have to come back this way later. And I don't want to die after I cleared out the house. So I'm just getting it over with. So now that I have that Nexus ability, with Parasite, it will give me some health back if I do take damage. If I kill them when they're linked together, I'll get some health back with that ability upgrade. And of course, if anyone starts getting close to me, I can start hacking people with the machete and get health back that way too. So I don't really need the invisibility. I did use the invisibility for most of the game to pull tons of bullshit. Never really used shift. I experimented with Carnesis briefly in the Wenji mission in the complex, as you saw, if you're paying attention. But it didn't really, it doesn't, I think it's pretty useless. So I basically only use, for pretty much all the game, I only used Nexus and Aether. So, and the invisibility and the ability to link guys together and kill them that way. That's mainly what I used throughout the entire game. I didn't use shift at all. I didn't find it important at all. So really only 2 of the abilities I found useful. Now Havoc I just threw in for this final mission, or this final area, because, I figured I'd try something different, and it seems good for aggressive playing, where you don't really want to disappear, you just want to kill everything. So now we're going to make our way to the mansion. Frank already killed himself with the fireworks since we sabotaged that in the first mission, so he's already dead. So now Juliana is going to evade, so that kind of slows things down, and I take my time to deal with her. But the main idea is to make your way to that house, which you've probably done many times by this point. If you're this far in the game, setting up the final push, you've probably been to this house before. So I like going through the tunnels, but for some reason, usually I'm able to get there through the tunnel, but I wasn't seeing the way how to go to get across, so there's probably just something that I forgot about how to get there or something. But eventually I end up just going around and going the other way. Those HZ doors are something that you open with these levers. You do that in another mission when you're setting up all that rack bullshit with the RACC code that you need to set up. That's one of the biggest leads that you have to do, and it takes multiple loops to accomplish. It's a pain in the ass. It's really not that hard. It's just a pain in the ass. But you do have to have done all that, obviously, to finish the game. So now Juliana is going to evade soon, I believe. And I take my time kind of trying to kill her. Now, killing her here doesn't count as killing her to beat the game. You have to actually travel to where she's at in the story with a rocket, and then you just headshot her. It's not even a fight. It's just it's like a story choice type of thing. So now she is on the hunt. So now the reason I don't have to kill her, I could ignore her, but I just don't want her fucking around while I'm trying to kill everybody in the house. I got enough people to deal with. But I think what ended up happening is that I damaged her, but I think she ended up getting away from me. So I actually do end up killing her in that house at the end. So it made it convenient for me because I didn't have to try to find her or worry about her showing up and killing me while I'm trying to work on finishing the game. So she does show up at the house in the end. So it did work out. The house strategy I have is actually really good. It's a really easy way to kill all the Visionaries in a single day because you do this easy setup shit. And then the hardest part of it is really just killing all the Visionaries inside that house because I didn't use stealth at all. You can sneak around and try to kill people. I don't like doing that shit, so I just wipe out the entire house. But I have an easy method. You're killing, I don't know, tens and tens of guys. I don't know how many. It could be over 50 enemies. I don't even know. But it's a lot of enemies, and I wipe out the entire house. And I found an easy way to do that. And by doing that, by wiping out everyone in the house, you kill all the Visionaries. So that's the whole purpose of doing that. And you don't have to stealth or worry about any stealth bullshit. Just kill everyone. That's all. For me, that's much more straightforward. So I didn't bother with any of that shit. I do use stealth in the game, but not by this point in the game. I mostly just run through because I'm so powerful that I can just run through and kill everyone for the most part. I'll sneak around, a little bit here and there, but as I got closer to the end of the game, I was running through areas. Maybe disappearing every once in a while to give myself a little advantage in escaping to the next objective. I didn't even need to absorb all this residuum and pick up all these items and things like that, but my thinking was that maybe there's some kind of new game plus after I beat the game, or maybe there's going to be some kind of future DLC where I can use my current build. So maybe I would get something cool that I could use in a current, future build of the game or something, or New Game Plus. But I didn't know exactly how the game worked. But after you beat it, that's it. I mean, it's basically just done. I mean, you can start, you can just basically do everything over again if you want. And you'll keep all your gear, but There was no incentive for me to replay the game, but I mean, I could see it being a replayable game. But for me, I just wanted to beat it, and I was good with just finishing it. But maybe if there's some future DLC, I can bring my character over. So I don't have a silenced weapon, but I usually just kill those two guys by linking them together and shooting one of them in the head. But you don't need a silenced weapon because they're so far away from all the enemies, they're not going to even alert anyone anyway. So it doesn't really matter. So I did, if you noticed, I did grab a turret suitcase, and I'm going to be using that, but I actually fucked it up and I destroyed my own turret. So normally I would use the turret, but it didn't end up getting used. But you'll get the idea. I got sloppy. It was my first time using these trip mines. I never messed with them before. I thought it might be cool because enemies might walk over the trip mines and detonate themselves. So I started by putting one by this door, which is probably a good place to put one of them because enemies do like to come out of this door to try to find you. When you cause a lot of noise and shit, they're going to start coming out from this door and other various openings. So I was trying to put down the trip mine. I wasn't even sure what control was for that. Never really used them, but your grenades do have like 3 different features. You can use trip mine, regular grenade, I think, and proximity mine. So you can make some things out of them. I never used that feature. I found that the guns were just so good with the Nexus ability. I really didn't need a lot of tools. So here I'm going to take out these first 2 enemies. I just linked them together with Nexus, and then I headshot one of them. And that clears that balcony. It doesn't really cause too much of a problem. I don't think it really caused much noise or anything. There's not enemies coming outside yet, I don't think. So it's pretty safe. You don't really need a silenced weapon for that. So now I set my turret up out here. Now the mistake I made was that I put too many trip mines down. I probably shouldn't have put the trip mines next to the turret. Because you'll see that when the enemies come out, like you can't activate your own trip mines by walking on them, but enemies can. So since I put them so close to the turret, it just blew up the turret. I was just being sloppy. But if you're doing this and trying to follow this, I recommend just place the turret outside the door. Don't put the mines down next to the turret, obviously. Just avoid that step. And then you'll get a little assistance by the turret. There's also a perk that gives your turrets, I believe, more power, more damage. But I didn't want to sacrifice that for the other perks that I like better, like more more health and things like that. So it wasn't worth it for me to sacrifice. Because the turret is not that helpful, but it can help you a little bit. But as you can see, I don't even need the turret because I'm using this pistol with the gas cloud, which covers a narrow area very well, makes the enemies choke on the gas. One of the Visionaries is already dead because it rushed out. So that Visionary got killed. And basically the Visionaries are going to get killed as you're killing regular enemies. The Visionaries are going to be mixed in with the regular enemies. So my advice is to kill everyone in the house. And this door is the choke point. As you can see, I use Nexus, and I just guard the door. I may use a pillar for cover occasionally, but I'm mainly just hanging out outside the door. And if I need health back, I stab the guys with the machete and get health back. That's why I had that perk set up on Brawler, so I can get health back that way. So it makes it very easy because, if you are getting low on health, just start stabbing people. That's it. And I just wait outside this door. It's basically a choke point where most of the enemies are going to come through. So if you're using Nexus and you have a good shotgun, you should be able to tear through these guys, or any decent weapons, like the Magnum. The gas cloud, like I said, is useful. But the shotgun works fine, the pepper mill. So you're just going to hang out here and just try to clear everybody out, take your time, and thin out everybody in the mansion. And by doing this, you're pretty much clearing, most of the enemies. I mean, eventually you're going to come across more of them, but by that time, you're going to have cleared out the bulk of the enemies. So you'll have a few stragglers. But as long as you're patient and wait out here and just kill everybody with Nexus and just gun everyone, you can easily complete this final stage, which is really, this is the hardest part of the game, gameplay-wise. So with this method, it makes the game, very easy, aside from doing tedious stuff like leads and things like that you have to do to set up everything. You can also jump down from the balcony and go straight ahead, and there's some enemies that'll come out of that side door where I put the trip mine. There may be some enemies coming out of there, but I didn't even bother doing that. And once I thinned everyone down, I just went purely aggressive, ran into the mansion, and just started killing whoever was left. And if I needed health, I would just use my machete. I also used the parasite ability on Nexus to get some health back. So that's another visionary killed in the midst of all this. You don't have to collect anything off their bodies or do any of that shit unless you want to. Unless you're planning to do future playthroughs or something where you're going to use, you want to unlock more shit for a future playthrough. But this is going to beat the game. So you don't, it's optional if you want stuff for later. So that was Juliana. She actually ended up in this mess over here and got killed. So now she's gone too. But this doesn't count as killing Juliana for good. To kill her for good, you need to do the final step with the RAC room, which I explained, and I'm going to show it. But you do have to have completed all the steps to unlock the ability to get through that door. That final door. So yeah, health is getting a little bit low. There's plenty of health bottles within here that you can collect. There's also the machete for health, to kill guys with the machete using the brawler perk. And of course Nexus, that parasite ability. So you have plenty of ways to get your health back. You shouldn't have any problems. So it should be very easy at this point. I also have Havoc, which I use sometimes to give myself an offensive boost when attacking, mobs of enemies. I've been using Havoc. I think it helps a little bit. I don't find any of the other abilities super useful aside from Nexus and that the one that makes you invisible. Those are the only two that I really use most of the time. But I was just fucking around. I thought Havoc was kind of cool to have on for an aggressive final push. But the other, like I said, the other abilities were optional for me. Most of the time I wanted, since you can only have two equipped, I went with Aether and Nexus most of the time for like pretty much the entire game. So here I'm just finishing off some scragglers. By this point it's really easy running around seeing who's left. Now some of those people who are left may happen to be Visionaries. But Wenji is always like on top of the building, I believe. So I believe I finish her off. She's like through a sky roof or some shit at the top of the building. I think that's how I finish her. I didn't even really know where everybody was exactly. I just go in and clean house, basically that was my strategy. I knew it would work. And I believe she is the last one to kill before leaving this area. So it is going to take me a little while to find her, but she is in here somewhere. Like I said, I was just collecting a few things just in case the game has more content after I beat it or something, because I didn't know. But you hear the enemies near the sky roof or like whatever you want to call it, this little window in the ceiling. So just use Nexus, chain them together, and just kill one, and that will clear out multiple. So, I mean, Nexus is so fucking overpowered, it really destroys shit. So I believe Wenji is going to appear, and there she is. It's not the easiest to hit her from here because you don't always have, the best openings, but I think I may retreat because there's no guys for me to machete to get my health back, and there's not enough guys for me to Nexus to get health back. So I think I took a little break from this area and collected some health and then went back. I guess I got her. Yeah, I got her without having to heal, so that was good. But once you kill her, you can just heal yourself because you may still have to survive a few scraggler enemies on the level itself to get to the rack room. The rack room is next to where you started this stage. So, and this is up dam in the evening, in case you missed it when I went in here, but this is the final area where everyone meets. After you've set everything up, obviously. So I was checking to see if all the Visionaries were X'd out. So once you've checked and you see that all of them are killed on here, like 4 X's, then you know you've completed the stage. So now I'm tracking the rack. You see, I put my tracker on the rack, and now that's going to show me where the rack room is. So if you don't know where that is, you can put the tracker on it, and now all you got to do is get to that room. And if you've set everything up, then your character already memorized all the codes. So he'll just say them. He's going to just speak the codes, and that will get you to the final shuttle. So this is pretty much, this is showing the escape footage basically, because this is pretty much what it is. It's similar to going to the exit in the level, except it's in a slightly different position than where the exit would be. I was just doing some side shit here, like collecting some remnant shit. I'm probably never going to end up using any of this stuff, for a New Game Plus or anything like that. But maybe there'll be some DLC or some shit. But yeah, this was an awesome game overall. I really enjoyed this shit. It ended up being a great game. I wasn't into figuring out some of the little nuance shit, like figuring out how to set everybody up to appear on the same day and all that shit. So I looked that up. But most of my time I spent just playing the game normally and just uncovering whatever I could, tracking all the leads and shit like that, and just doing the missions, getting better gear. And I enjoyed that process of the game. But then when I was ready to beat it, I really was as upgraded as I was going to get. I didn't feel like I was really going to get any significant upgrades to my character. So then I just started looking up, exactly what do I need to do to set everything up. And the main thing you need to do is just, explore the areas to unlock all the notes and stuff that you have to read, and then just do all the leads. And that's going to pretty much set everything up. So here I just hack this turret usually, and then I'll set off these fireworks. You don't have to do all that, but it will alert those enemies and make them walk into the turret. So it just makes it a little easier. It clears out a few of the enemies. Then just drop down on top of this little statue. I mean, at this point, all you're doing is getting back to the area, the rack area. So just kill whoever happens to be in your way. There's probably still going to be a lot of enemies running around, so you may have to clear them out or just run away. I don't have the Aether ability, so I can't just disappear and run away. So it makes it, so I just play a little bit more aggressive. I don't mind killing the guys because it's so easy by this point. So I kind of just took my time. But at this point, the only goal is to make it back to that rack room. I think it's R8K maybe. I also had to hack the antenna because when Juliana invaded, she blocks your tunnels. But actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I even needed to do that because I don't even exit this place through the normal exit. I go through the rack room. So you probably don't even need to bother hacking the antenna if you got invaded. So don't bother with that. Just go straight to the rack room. But I didn't really know how everything worked with that. I wasn't sure if I was going to go back to the exit. I wasn't sure if I was going to take the shuttle or what I was going to do. But yeah, once you get to the rack room, it's just a matter of making choices. It's pretty much the game is done by this point. I just headshotted Juliana immediately without listening to the story and shit, and I think I read that's what gives you one of the better endings, but there's like multiple endings, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. It doesn't matter, but you beat the game no matter what, so just do whatever the fuck you want. But yeah, it's really not a difficult game, but it's a lot of fun. It's a matter of just understanding how it works and doing all the leads and things like that. And if you get stuck on anything, it's usually pretty easy to find what you're doing wrong on some of the leads, but it's pretty straightforward if you follow the leads. The part that's not straightforward is trying to figure out how to line everyone up for the final day, but I guess if you're good at paying attention to that kind of shit, you could probably figure it out. But me, I'm not really that invested in story type of shit and things like that, so for me, that wasn't something I wanted to do. But I still enjoyed the game a lot. I didn't want to speed through the game, so I did take my time initially, like I said, and just played it normally, did the leads, tried to see how the game was going to play out. So you have to get on a specific part of this shuttle to enter it, which I didn't, really know exactly where I was supposed to go, but that's it. And once you do this, you're going to make a final decision for the story. And I edited this shit way down, so it gets right to the fucking point. I'm not really showing the ending here. I just wanted to show what I did for that final push. So yeah, you ride your shovel for a little while. And then you're going to go down a hallway pretty much, and then game fucking over. You can just shoot her in the head and end the game. Or I'm sure you could listen to some dialogue or do whatever the fuck you want at this point. But yeah, that's about it. So if you have any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching.